Welcome back to Ask the Good Doctor on Sirius XM Urban View, Channel 126. I am Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire. As you know, I am a proponent for nutritional supplements for the body because we are constantly bombarded by toxins in the world we live in today. We just are. I have recently been introduced to a new product called RevitaBlu, and it is a stem cell nutrient. Since I have been taking it, well, first of all, you all know that I'm not going to tell you about anything that I haven't first taken myself. So me and my family, yes, we are guinea pigs. Okay. My poor child. But yes, we are guinea pigs. But since I have been taking it, I have noticed all kinds of positive effects. And most notably, the fact that I have been able to run down steps. Run down steps. Not walk down, run down. And for me, that is a really big deal since injury. So we are joined by Mr. Christian Drapeau. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying that. Mr. Christian Drapeau. And he is a scientist and a pioneer in adult stem cell research. He's also a botanical researcher and the creator of the supplement RevitaBlu. Welcome, Mr. Drapeau.
Hello, it's a great pleasure to be with you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Tell me, what are the role of stem cells in the body?
You know, historically, I think it's an interesting here to talk a little bit about what has been traditionally the role of stem cells. We've
Okay.
all learned when you went to med school, when we all go to med school or go to school in general, we are told that stem cells, their role is to be precursors to blood cells. But all of this changed about, 15, let's say 18 years ago, when scientists started to observe that stem cells not only become blood cells, but they also have the ability to become cells of virtually any tissue in the body. So they are the repair system of the body.
Ah, we hear a lot of talk about stem cells and stem cell transplants and those kinds of things like that, but no one really defines it in that way. You call the stem cells our master system of renewal. Yeah? Say more about
Yeah,
that.
that's correct.
Say more about that.
Well, you know, going back to what I was just saying before,
Mm-hmm.
when all the discoveries on embryonic stem cells started to show up in the scientific literature, it all started, just to put that into the right historical perspective, in 1998, when human embryonic stem cells for the first time were able to be multiplied and grown in the lab. Before that, it
Mm.
was done with mice, it was done with different animal stem cells. But then with human stem cells, this started around 1998. So it brought back the whole, how could I say, excitement and hope that we could use human stem cells to be able to change the course of various diseases. But
Ah,
at that time, the stem cells that we have in our body, normally called adult stem cells,
yeah.
they're not adult. They're in a newborn. We've got adult stem cells. So
Wow.
they are the stem cells that exist in a living organism.
Okay.
So these were considered to be sort of lesser stem cells because they were only able to become cells of the blood, white blood cells,
Hmm.
red blood cells, and platelets. And by the way, that's the definition of a stem cell
Yes.
would be to say it's a cell that can transform into another type of cell.
Mm-hmm.
All the other cells of the body don't do that. They are specialized. They do one thing, and that's what they do all their life. And then the only thing that will happen is one day they will die. So
Mm.
stem cells in the bone marrow were considered to be precursors to blood cells. And then observations started to be made where stem cells from the bone marrow, often seen after a bone marrow transplant,
Mm.
were seen to appear in the heart as heart cells, in the brain as brain cells, in the liver as liver cells. And then, so fast forward 15 years later, what is now very clear is that anytime you have an injury of any kind,
Yeah.
then stem cells are called out of the bone marrow, and when they
Ah.
circulate in the bloodstream, they're called to migrate in that tissue to multiply and to become cells of that tissue.
How
So
about that?
just like exactly, so just like when you have a cold or you have a bacterial infection,
Mm-hmm.
your immune system will travel to the site of the infection and will kill the bacteria. Here it's a stem cell repair system where stem cells are called to the site of the injury or the problem,
Mm.
and stem cells will simply repair.
So it comes to the rescue.
Exactly.
Okay, so what I'm hearing also is that stem cells are adaptogenic.
They are.
They're
This
adaptogens.
is
Okay.
this is one of the big discovery, and it's the reason why it is so difficult, if you want, for that kind of information to really trickle down in mainstream science. Because from a scientific standpoint, it's almost like taking a cat and saying that you do something and it becomes a horse. Stem cells from the bone marrow do not become cells of various tissues. I remember I was lecturing about this maybe about 10 years ago, and there's a doctor, and it's not a criticism of doctor at all, but there was a scientist, let's say, in the room who was taught, like anybody else, that stem cells only make blood cells. And at one point he said,
Wow.
listen, son, let me tell you something that obviously nobody seems to be telling you, but you're just an idiot. And it's just, I'm saying this just to illustrate
Yes.
that it is profoundly novel in medical science, this concept that stem cells from the bone marrow, and it's not that they can become cells of other tissue, and it's something that they do rarely, that they can do, but it's not common.
Yes.
No, it is something that is happening every day of our lives since the day we are born. Stem cells circulate in the body, and they just replace cells that are being lost.
Awesome. And I heard you say in one of your YouTube videos, which are awesome, by the way, that the medical community studies disease. I almost jumped out my seat. I was like, yes, that's what they do. They study disease. The medical community doesn't study health. I so agree with you. But that's our job, right, Mr. Drapeau?
Yeah, and I want to make sure I'm not saying this as a criticism of the system.
That's right.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult, almost impossible to study health. We cannot take 50 people, give them a carrot every day, and 6 months later say these people are still healthy, therefore carrots is good for health. We can't do that, because you could give them a piece of chocolate and they would still be healthy 6 months later. So in order to really study how the body works, you have to investigate with problems and how you resolve the problem. So the consequence is that we study diseases, but we never study how the body functions normally.
Yes.
And with stem cells, where this is more important, if I could say, is that stem cells have been studied in the context of diseases, but a lot of observations were made to lead to the conclusion that they're not only playing a role in diseases or when something is broken, they're playing a role every day of our life to simply replace the cells that are being lost as part of the natural process of life.
Right.
So they play a role in maintenance that is crucial.
That's it right there, maintenance. Yeah, and as a stem cell researcher, when did you realize that the stem cells needed specific stem cell nutrition?
Well, it came in a different way, if I could say, because I didn't start by studying stem cells. I started by studying a natural botanical, a blue-green algae that I'm sure you know from Planet Lake.
Yes.
So I started to study this in 1994, 1995, and we were just trying to understand how that product was working in the body. So we did find clear and very interesting immune-supporting properties, anti-inflammatory properties, also properties to support the brain. Many people consuming this blue-green algae were reporting benefits in terms of mental clarity, better concentration, a feeling of mental energy. But as we were doing all this research, some people started to report benefits that were touching various aspects of human health, like cardiac function, the lung, liver function, pancreatic function, the brain, the skin, the joints. And some of these cases were very impressive. So the question emerged as to what is this product doing in the body to lead to benefits touching virtually every single aspects of human health. So we did not have any explanation until the day that a colleague of mine sent me an article, and the title of the article was "Turning Blood into Brain." And it was a study in which scientists had observed that after injecting bone marrow stem cells in an animal, some of these stem cells were tagged so they can be followed in the body, and they ended up in the brain becoming neurons.
Wow.
And that was a total discovery. So from there, we made two hypotheses. This was 18 years ago. We made two hypotheses, which at the time were completely far-fetched, but they turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Number one, what if stem cells actually were not only responsible for making blood cells, but what if they were the repair system of the body?
How about
what
that?
if Exactly. What about that? And what if this blue-green algae, its mechanism of action was to support the release of stem cells so that if you have more stem cells in circulation and your problem is in the heart, well, the heart will call these cells and your heart will do
Yes.
better. If
Amen.
somebody else is the pancreas, then the pancreas will do better.
Yes.
Somebody else is the liver, then the liver will do better. It would explain why so many different people reported benefit touching so many aspects of human health.
How about it?
So we started with these two hypotheses, and both of them turned out to be correct. So this blue-green algae was working and is working by supporting the natural release of stem cells from the bone marrow.
Wow.
So
Now,
that's what really led me to study all of that.
and so tell us about how you came to create RevitaBlu.
Well, the moment that we documented the effect of this blue-green algae, it was obvious to me, although it took a number of years before I could continue the research, but it was obvious to me that because we evolved in symbiosis with the environment, just like there's not only one plant that supports the immune system,
Right.
there's not only one plant that has antioxidants, it was clear to me that there has to be other plants that
Yes.
also support stem cell function. So how do we find them?
Yeah.
So I started to ask the question reversed. With AFA or with this blue-green algae, we had something that had been associated with a lot of various benefits. So the question was, what else can we find in terms of plants in the world that has been historically associated with a broad variety of health benefits?
Okay.
And about 2 years ago, I came across, actually, I asked a few friends, colleagues from China, casually, almost jokingly, I asked two of them, if you were lost on a desert island and the only thing you had access to is one plant from China, of everything that you know, which one would you bring? And to my total surprise, both of them said sea buckthorn berry.
Oh.
And I'd never thought of sea buckthorn berry as being that special. So I started to go into scientific literature and looked for what do we know of sea buckthorn, and discovered that there was a very, very wealthy literature, an abundant literature of the use of sea buckthorn in Tibetan medicine, Mongolian medicine, and Chinese medicine.
Okay.
So we developed an extract. We went into the lab. We tested it. And we found that sea buckthorn, the sea buckthorn berry extract that we developed, had about twice the efficacy of what we had with the blue-green algae that we discovered before.
That is awesome.
So on the basis of that sea buckthorn berry, we developed RevitaBlu. So it's the key ingredient in RevitaBlu.
Okay. Now, I have a question for you from our audience. Would that be okay? A couple of questions?
Of course.
Claudette from Facebook asks, I have had 2 stem cell transplants, and now my doctor wants me to have a 3rd transplant. I know I need supplementation, but I do not know what to take. Do you recommend this product?
Yeah, I have to be clear before I give my opinion on this. I am not a medical doctor, and I don't want this to substitute or to replace in any way, shape, or form.
But of course,
whatever any doctor may recommend. So purely from a physiological standpoint, what we have seen historically is that yes, if you do support the natural function of the bone marrow by releasing stem cells from the bone marrow, it tends to support or to strengthen the bone marrow and help these kinds of treatments. So I would say talk to your doctor, but from what I have seen over the past 15, 16 years of working with these natural products that support stem cell function, what we see is a positive effect.
Okay. Super. Now, Sylvia from myaskthegooddoctor.org page asks, if stem cells are so important to our health, why aren't doctors talking more about this to patients? That's a good one, Sylvia.
It's a very, very simple answers that if you're not involved or if someone is not involved in medical research, then sometimes it's something that we don't see very clearly. And it's the fact that it takes time for research to become accepted, then from being accepted to reach academia, from academia that transfers and reach mainstream where people in general hear about it.
Yes.
When you go to school, and if any of the listener can think about their own life, you go to school in a specific domain, a specific area of whatever science, whatever field, and then as you go on in your life, even if you practice in the very field that you studied,
yes,
you still move forward largely on the basis of what you've learned in college.
Absolutely.
So virtually any doctor today, and I would say as of probably last time I checked, up to a year or two ago, and if anything, it's probably still the case today. Med students, are still not told that stem cells are the natural repair system of the body, like your immune system. This is still not taking place. It is just too recent in the whole world of medical research.
Okay.
It has simply not crossed from research to mainstream application.
Yes.
Now, this being said, if your doctor is a doctor where I or other people involved in this field of research have given a lecture and these doctors were there, could ask questions, it is difficult for me to believe that somebody who has seen all that information would not then recommend this, or at least be in a position to explain it to their patient. And then from there, there's a whole other layer, which is the fact that it is not available as a prescription. It is available as a dietary supplement. So you need to have a doctor who really works within the realm of considering dietary supplements as being effective.
That's right.
Effective tools in the whole management of health. So there are many layers here to the answer to this question.
Yes, I agree with that. Well, thank you, Sylvia and Claudette, for your questions. Now, you're with the RevitaBlu is available through a company called Jeunesse Global. And, I have known this company for many years for their incredible skincare products. How did you team up with them?
Well, I team up with them because Jeunesse is a company that, if you really look at all their products, and since working with them, I've started to really look at their product very closely. It's a company that does innovation, and they're searching for products that will be at the cutting edge of scientific research or health research.
Yes.
And in that way, the desire to have a product that would have an effect on stem cells came essentially from a lot of their consumers and then key people in the company looking at what was on the cutting edge of dietary supplement in terms of research. And so basically we then started to talk. I knew people that were part of Jeunesse, and through these contacts, then we started to discuss, and they were interested to have a product on stem cells. And on my end, it ties with the question that we just had before. Why is my doctor not talking about this?
Yes.
And it's because it's too new. So if it is too new, if you put an ad in a magazine, or even you put a bottle on the shelf that says this product is for your stem cell, nobody understands what
That's
it
right.
means. You need education about these things.
And that's why you're here today.
Exactly. Most consumers cannot really explain what is an antioxidant. But everybody will take their antioxidant.
Yes.
And that's because there are 2 decades of education making people understand that they need to have their antioxidant, although they do not understand from a chemical or biochemical standpoint what they really do in the body.
All right.
It's the same thing here. Until people have heard enough about what stem cells are, what they do in the body, and how important it is to support their role in the body, until people have heard this enough, then education is needed. So a system of distribution like Jeunesse is giving the platform to be able to convey that kind of education. So it was a really good team for me to team with Jeunesse to put this kind of information out in the marketplace.
How did you become such a staunch advocate for herbal remedies and such? I mean, because as a scientist, you could have gone either way. We have 2 minutes. Give me 1 minute, the quick story.
I've just always been interested in plants, and when I came across this blue green algae and I saw what it could do in cases where oftentimes even medicine could not do anything, and when I saw the results, I saw this as so powerful that I just had to continue in that field of research.
Yes.
So it's basically the real effect and the benefits to me has been the driving force.
Okay, that is beautiful, because I thank you for your brilliant mind, and I thank you for coming in this direction instead of going in the other. And it took your love of plants to be able to do it so that you could articulate this beautiful work and be able to express yourself. I thank you, because I love this product.